The Creator. Shadows of the Soul, Chapter 2, Why Are You Here? Danny sat at the desk in his study, staring blankly at the screen of his computer. His fingers hovered above the keyboard, but they didn't move. Normally, writing about the mysterious woman filled him with a deep connection, a euphoria that carried him through the day. But now the connection was gone, and it was as if a storm cloud had settled over him. He also had a severe case of writer's block. The disappointments of his past came rushing back, losing his business, the betrayal of his partners, feeling socially isolated, and the heartbreak of a relationship that ended in despair. All of this amplified now by the void left without her presence, Galatea, the mysterious woman whom he had named after the myth of Pygmalion, an artist who created a statue that he fell in love with. Danny, in turn, was well aware of the fact that, like the artist of the Greek myth, he too had fallen in love with his own artistic creation. In an effort to recapture the feeling, to reconnect with Galatea, Danny began to write frenetically. He added new scenes, new dialogues, trying to evoke a sense of connection that had once been so strong, but it was in vain. The character remained distant, elusive, as if mocking his efforts. Even the writer within his story, the fictional author who was his projection, he also seemed to be chasing her in vain as well. Danny's efforts reflected both his own desperate pursuit and those of the fictional author. Why can't I feel you? That connection that had once been so palpable was gone, and with it, the sense of purpose which had driven him. A few days later, Danny found himself sitting in Dr. Harrison's office, a tissue in hand, as he sniffled through what he assumed was just a cold, and Dr. Harrison, being professional and calm, carried out a thorough examination. He finally said, well, it's probably just fatigue or allergies, and a little rest, plenty of fluids should do the trick. If it gets worse, we can always use an antibiotic, but I think the rest will take care of this. You've been working too hard. You gotta ease off the work. No one can keep that pace up. How many hours a day are you working anyway? Figure 12 to 16 on a bad day. Well, that rests my case, as you might say. You're working yourself thick. Danny's hesitant. Have you ever felt a connection? Stan, have you ever felt a connection to someone who isn't real? Harrison, who's been taking notes, stops mid-scribble. Well, what do you mean, Danny? Well, there's a character I created. I call her Galatea, and I'm writing about her, and it's like I can usually feel her, but lately that feeling's completely gone, and without it, everything else just seems completely empty. There's a brief pause as Harrison processes this. And this is what's causing you the distress? It's making you act differently or have irrational thoughts beyond this cold? Well, I don't know if it's irrational, Danny says defensively, but it feels like I understand her, Galatea, more than I understand myself. It's almost like I'm projecting my own feelings onto her, and when I lose that connection, it's like I'm losing a part of myself. Dr. Harrison leans back in his chair, contemplative. Well, it sounds like you're deeply invested in this character more than just being creative. Have you considered that maybe this connection is a way of coping with everything else you're dealing with, the business, the relationship, the social isolation? Danny looks away, uncertain. Well, maybe, but it could also be more than that. It's like she's alive, like she's trying to help me, or maybe I'm trying to help myself through her as some mental construct that's come alive. Dr. Harrison tears a sheet of paper from his prescription pad. I'm not giving you medication. Relax. This is a prescription for some fresh air, my friend. Go to the beach, take a walk, see a movie, call a friend. Get out of your head for a while and try to ease up on the writing. It's not healthy to be this consumed by a fictional character. Danny, taking the note, nods and says, well, I'll try, but in his heart, he knew that the only place he was headed was back to the study and to continue his writing. Once back at home, Danny sat at his desk, determined to push through the fatigue. He began typing again, slowly, and then he felt it. Her presence. It was faint at first, but then it grew stronger, filling the room with an almost tangible warmth. He paused his typing, the silence echoing with her presence. You've been asking yourself about me. You've been asking yourself why you created me. Danny gasps, softly startled, but then he settles as if he had been expecting her. Yes, I was asking myself that. How did you know? But why are you here anyway? And what am I trying to accomplish by creating you? There was a brief pause, as if Galatea is considering his words. Well, you're trying to complete yourself, to fill in those parts of you that feel empty or wounded. Danny leaned back in his chair, considering what he had heard. Well, it makes sense. We all have these holes to fill. We try to fill them with the right relationship, with therapy, with hobbies, sometimes even with self-medicating. But we all do something to fill the holes. Do you mind, Galatea, that you're the one? You're the mysterious woman who I'm using to fill the holes in my life. And there's a soft, almost affectionate laugh from the mysterious woman. Actually, I'm flattered. In a way, you're allowing me to complete you, and that makes me feel like something very special. Most people won't even let someone into their lives, a therapist or a doctor, let alone a fictional character, to heal their deepest wounds. Well, I want to let you in. I really do. And as Danny reaches out to the mysterious woman, he realizes she's no longer there, but she's gone. He had sought her hand, but he was left clutching at empty space. Frantically, Danny typed out their interaction on his computer, each word echoing her presence even though she no longer was there. The typing grew louder, more urgent, before there's a knock on his door interrupting him. It was Tricia and her husband Henry. They'd come by to drop in on him and also to drop off some mail from the office. Tricia, concerned, says, "You don't look so good. Have you been getting out at all?" And Danny shakes his head. I know, I should. I promise you I'll take a walk by the shore today." And Tricia and her husband concurred that that's a great idea. Rest his mind as well as rejuvenate his body. But everyone knew that there wouldn't be a walk by the shore, not today, not while the mysterious woman still lingered in Danny's thoughts, beckoning him back to the world he had created. There would be no shore, no walk, and only a laptop, a study, and a fictional character named Galatea.